Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is the press conference reaction to Marco Silva's pre-game press conference ahead of tomorrow afternoon's Premier League fixture against West Ham United at Goodison Park. We knew this one was going to be an interesting one, obviously coming off the back of a really disappointing defeat against Burnley just before the international break. We've had a couple of weeks to sit back and really evaluate what's been going on at the football club. Marco Silva's had a couple of weeks to evaluate as well, as has the rest of the board. So we knew this was going to be a really interesting press conference. Obviously, we expected a lot of questions to be asked to Marco Silva, and they were, so we're going to go through them all in today's live stream. I hope you are doing well. It is Friday afternoon, of course. I assume many of you have finished work or school for the weekend, so hopefully you're in a good mood, of course. The Blues playing early tomorrow afternoon. Let me know your thoughts on that as well. I'm just going to tweet today's team out and then we'll get straight into talking about the quote from Marco Silva. Ziad says, who's going to get sacked first, Ollie or Silva? I don't know, mate. I suppose it all depends on how the results go this weekend, doesn't it? If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's United managed to nick something out of the game against Liverpool and Marco Silva's Blues get beat by West Ham, then it'd look like Marco Silva, but it really depends. Jack says, alright, Cam, alright, Jack, hope you're doing well. I'm just going to tweet this team out and then we'll get straight into talking about Marco Silva's pre-game press conference, which was an interesting one. I suppose the first thing to start with, of course, it's still the little graphic on the live stream, is that Marco Silva confirmed that Jean-Philippe Gbamin is, of course, out injured, which we knew from the other day. But he also stated that Fabian Delph is a doubt for tomorrow's game. He said that Fabian Delph's a doubt for tomorrow and Jean-Philippe Gbamin is definitely out. So obviously we knew Jean-Philippe Gbamin was out. Didn't mention Andre Gomes. We've seen him pictured in training today, so good news that hopefully Andre Gomes is back and in contention of playing tomorrow afternoon. But Jean-Philippe Gbamin definitely out, and Fabian Delph is a doubt as well, which we heard about a couple of days ago. It was rumoured that Fabian Delph might be a doubt. I left him out of my predicted starting 11 in the game preview yesterday for the exact reason. So, really interesting, that one. Marco Silva then went on to talk about the players' moods. He said, we are together in this situation, and that's the title of today's team, and we'll talk about that in a second. He said, we are together in this situation 1 month ago before the first international break. We were in 6th position in a good moment. I am the first one to take responsibility, but it is good to see the players take it as well. So basically, he's trying to share the blame there. Basically, he's trying to say, listen, okay, it is partly my fault, and I understand it's partly my fault, but it's also everybody else's fault as well. We're in it together. And you know what? A lot of people will jump on that and say you're trying to deflect the blame and you're trying to point your finger at somebody else. But, you know, there's an age-old saying in the world, there's an age-old saying in football, and that you win together, you lose together. And he's right in that one, you know. We are all together in this situation. Obviously, we as fans can't do anything about the performances on the pitch. We as fans can't do anything about the fact that his substitutions are awful, his team selection's been poor in the last couple of weeks. But I understand where he's coming from when he's talking about the players as well. You know, the players are the 11 that go out there and put in consistently poor performances week in, week out. And don't get me wrong, I understand that they mightn't be set up correctly and they might be set up how they'd want to be set up, but the absolute minimum for me, if you're putting on that Everton shirt, is you're giving 110% effort and you're giving 100% passion and urgency and you're fighting for that badge. And if you're not doing that, then, you know, there's only so much of that's down to Marco Silva. I doubt Marco Silva's going out and saying, don't put in a decent performance for the fans. I really doubt that. So for me, you know, he is right. The players also have to take responsibility in this situation, but it's important that he understands that the responsibility of picking the team, the responsibility of the formation, of the tactics are all on his hands. He then went on to talk about the current situation, obviously, that happened in England's last game against Bulgaria, the racism situation. He says, first, I have to tell you, it's great to see the maturity they, meaning the England players, showed. They want to play for the national team and they did in the right way, even if the environment was tough for them. It was a pleasure to see. So again, being very complimentary of the England side, which of course had Jordan Pickford and Michael Keane from Everton, you know, standing up and continuing to play despite that absolutely disgraceful chants from the opposition fans, which they were sickening. They really were sickening, and they should be kicked out of every single competition for the next however many years, because it was absolutely disgusting to see. But, you know, again, I think it's voiced by many Evertonians and many football fans. It was you know, it was nice to see the England players standing up to it and playing on absolutely kicking 10J just shit out of them and beating them 6-0. And obviously, you know, there's absolutely no room for racism in football. There's no room for racism in society. There's no room for racism in the world. So Marco Silva went on to briefly talk about that one. Jack says, noticed in Silva's presser, he mentioned it was a big game for him, not the team as a whole. Reckon that means something. Yeah, I think, you know, it's been rumoured over the last couple of days, and it's been rumoured over the last week or so that this is a crunch game for Marco Silva, and, you know, there's a lot of quite well-respected journalists that have come out and said that if he doesn't win this game, then he's in deep shit. AKA, he's probably going to get sacked. So it could mean that he's being told that this is his last opportunity to get a 3 points. That this is his last opportunity to really show that he can change this bad form around. And I think it's really important when we're talking about tomorrow's game that we don't only look at the fact that we need to go out there and we need to get a 3 points, because we know we need to get a 3 points. We know we need to get the win. But for me, we could beat West Ham tomorrow by going out with the exact same formation as that we've been playing in recent weeks, the same personnel, and just scraping a 1-0 win, because they've had a really poor performance or we've got a lucky goal. And I don't really want that, to be honest with you. I want us to go out, play a totally different formation, a totally different style of football, and different personnel as well. And if we go out there and we don't manage to get the win doing that, and we only manage to scrape a draw, at least we can say, well, you know what, we performed a lot better there, and that was a much more positive performance. Because if we go out there and we scrape a win using the same tactics and the same formation, then Marco Silva's going to continue to go with that for the future weeks, and that ain't going to work. We're not going to continue to get wins playing like that. So maybe you're right, maybe it does have something to do with Marco Silva's job being on the line. Mitchell says, if Sidibe doesn't put Yarman on his right, Silva needs to put in the boot at half time. Yeah, listen, we shouldn't be showing Yarmolenko his left side. We made that mistake last season at Goodison Park, and he absolutely threatened it for us. He scored 2 goals. He needs to be shown on his right hand side every single day of the week. Shabba says, hi Cam, I'm pissed off with them, but it's videos like yours that keep me going, and we'll get through this together with fans like you. We deserve to have some kind of success, please. Thank you very much, Shabba. That means a massive amount to me. Really do appreciate that, and we will get through it. We will. If you're enjoying the stream so far, by the way, please do hit the like button. Eric says, looking forward to this game, just sick and tired of the manager. Fair enough. Christian says, hungry Everton fans. Big up the hungry Everton fans. Shabba says, I'm not asking to win the Premiership or all the cups. H-Lad says, how much have I missed, lad? Not much, mate. We've just been going on about, obviously, Marco Silva confirming that Jean-Philippe Gbamin is out injured. Obviously saying that Fabian Delph is a massive doubt as well. And then talking about how we're in this situation together. It's not just an individual's fault. Basically saying that the players also have to take some of the fault as well for the poor performances, which is fair enough. Ziad says, is Pickford better than Pope? Yes, in my opinion. Shab said, I just want us to win every game and the rest will sort itself out. Yeah, hopefully. Ziad says, unfortunately, it looks like Liverpool are going to win the league. I don't want to talk about that. Mitchell says, I read it wrong, sorry. Christian says, Tom Davis, yes. Morgan, and no. Christian says, Tosin, Marco Silva's confirmed that Cenk Tosin is out as well, or at least a doubt, because he is carrying an injury. We'll talk about that in a second. Ziad says, have you ever had mental health issues? I have. I spoke about them very recently. I spoke about them on a live stream earlier this week, or I think it was Monday night's live stream when we spoke about Everton in the community. So if you want to know more about that, go and check that live stream out. I'm not going to go into it on this one. Mac and Cheese says, did you hear about Ogbonna praising Moise Kean? I did. Big fan of Moise Kean, it seems. And Moise Kean's a fantastically talented young player, and he's got an awful lot of potential. He just needs to be given time to fulfill that potential. Eric says, why are you not Silva out? I don't trust the club to have a replacement lined up that could come and do a better job than Marco Silva, and that's saying something, because Marco Silva's doing a shocking job at the minute, and that's purely why I'm a little bit hesitant as to just say get him out the club, because I don't think the club have got somebody ready to come in and take us to that next level. And by that next level, I don't mean the top 6 or the top 4. I literally mean out of the shit that we're in now. And Mitch just says, if Steve A doesn't put Yarman on his right, Silva needs to boost it off time. Yeah, definitely. If you're enjoying the scene so far, please do leave a like. It really does mean a massive amount to me. Marco Silva then went on to talking about tomorrow's opposition, West Ham. Of course, he said their away form was really good. We know what we expect. It's up to us to perform better than the last games to achieve a good result. It will be a game for us to express ourselves on the pitch. Very much of the sameness, really. Just, very similar to many of the quotes he says every single week. It's up to us to go out there and prove ourselves. It's up to us to put in a performance. It's just up to express ourselves. Well, let's start seeing it, Marco, lad, because at the end of the day, I haven't seen Everton players express themselves for a number of months. I haven't seen Everton players go out there and put in a comfortable performance for a number of months. I haven't watched an Everton team play at Goodison Park or play away from home where they've sat back and they've looked absolutely 100% comfortable with the game since the back end of last season, and we're 8 or 10 games into this season and I still haven't seen a comfortable performance yet. So let's go out there and see it. Less of the talking in press conferences, less of the all the mouth. Let's go and prove it on the pitch. Where are we? Ziad says, was Martinez better than Silva? No, Martinez wasn't better than anybody. Mac and G says, Delph is out, Tosin is out, Gbamin is out. Not going to lie, lads. I'm feeling bad for Silva, Schneiderlin and DCL. Fair enough. Whammy says, Moyes hasn't got a job. No chance, I don't want Moyes back. Ziyad says, will you take Moyes back? No. Jack says he's becoming more and more like Martinez. I agree with that. And Whammy says, just sitting at home with the feet up, dipping shortbreads in his tea. Oh, I could do with a cup of tea with a few shortbreads in now. So yeah, like I said, Marco Silva, again, just to repeat, stating that we are in this together. We are in this situation together. They know we are a group, not just one. Again, coming out there and saying basically this, the current situation is because of, multiple reasons and not just on him, and that's fair enough. But, you could look at that two different ways. You could look at that thinking he's coming out and saying this isn't just my fault, it's not just my responsibility, or you could look at it by thinking he's coming out and saying, well, it's not just Gylfi's responsibility who's being poor, it's not just Dom's responsibility who's being poor. It's a whole team effort, and that's fair enough. Marco Silva then went on to talk about Cenk Tosun. He said Cenk Tosun is out with a groin issue. What do you think about that one? Obviously, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding Cenk Tosun over the last week or so due to his celebration in international duty, which we won't go into because, quite frankly, I don't really understand it. But he is out with a groin issue. I don't think he'd have featured anyway, to be honest. Marco Silva doesn't really like Cenk Tosun. He's not really the biggest fan of him, so I don't think he'd feature anyway. If you're enjoying the team, by the way, please do hit the like button. It'd mean a massive amount to me. And if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe as well. We've just hit 1,000 subscribers, so a massive thank you for that. Get the stream shared as well to all your friends, all your family. Let's get as many people in as possible to talk about this. Silva then went on to talking about Tom Davies, a player that we've all been crying out for over the last couple of weeks to come in and be given his opportunity. He spoke specifically about him playing in that number 6 role, and he said it's always a possibility. If it happens, it's not the first time with me. Tom has played with Andre Garner and Morgan last season. He's able to play in both positions. Exactly, so if he's able to play in both positions, Marco, stick him in there. Why aren't we giving him a run of form? Why aren't we giving him that trust and that opportunity to go out there and prove himself? Because Morgan Schneiderlin does what he does, and he does it, he does it okay. He's not an awful footballer, he's not a fantastic footballer, but he's not going to give you anything going forward, and he's not going to pretend to give you anything going forward as well. So why aren't we giving Tom Davies an opportunity to step out on that pitch and say, right, listen, we've got Fabian Delph out injured, and we've got Jean-Philippe Gbamin out injured. Morgan Schneiderlin's had his fair share of chances, so now you're going to get a couple of games, and let's see what you can do and prove yourself. And if you perform well, you'll be in there week in, week out, and you might even be in there week in, week out when Delph comes back or when Gbamin comes back, and they'll have to turf you of your position. This is what Marco Silva needs to do. Again, it's alright coming out in the press conference and saying that, it'd be absolutely fine to see Tom Davies playing in the number 6 because he's played there before. But put him in there again, and if he's played there before, all the more reasons to give him an opportunity. This is a game that Tom Davies would thrive in. Playing next to a player like Andre Gomes, who's got that experience, who's got that talent, who's got that quality to bring the ball down, hold the ball up and take it on. It's a fantastic opportunity to put Tom Davies there. He'll be able to pick the ball up, and he'll be able to run at West Ham's midfield, and he'll be able to run at West Ham's defence. Where are we? Bear with me 2 seconds, let me get back in the live comments. Kirsten says Everton West Ham 2-1. I hope so, mate, I hope so. Jack says, if it's meant making a good long-term appointment, would you take Moyes on an interim basis? I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of bringing in managers on an interim basis. I'd rather just see where we are with Silva come late, October, November time, and then, hopefully have somebody to come in on a long-term basis. Mac and Cheese says, I agree, lad. Marco's old talk, but I don't see anything. Every week he says we need to improve this, that. I want to see it on the pitch. I'd love him to come out and say we're being shite. Exactly, he's not going to, but that is probably what he's thinking, like the rest of us are. So yeah, it says Martinez was the best manager since Moyes got Europa League football. Martinez's first season was the best season since Moyes, but his second and third season were arguably the worst season since Moyes as well. So there you go. Mac and Cheese says, them players need to know he's too nice to them. Eric says, the biggest problem is the midfield. We need some speed and energy in the midfield. That's why Tom Davies has to play. Morgan Schneiderlin just can't. He's too slow. He slows us down. What do you think? I agree, 100% spot on, mate. I've spoke about it multiple times over the recent weeks. I've said the midfield 3 of Gomez, Schneiderlin and Sigurdsson just doesn't offer enough urgency, doesn't offer enough energy, doesn't offer enough pace at all. Even if you put even if you put Fabian Delph in there, it still doesn't offer us enough agency and enough pace, and that's what we're massively missing without Garner Gate, is that agency, that fire, that, ability to run round for 90 minutes at the height of your game. And, obviously Jean-Philippe Gbamin was brought in to directly replace that, but, we're not going to see him now until at least mid-January. So for me, I agree 100%. Tom Davies has to come in and be given that opportunity because he is a player that will instill that energy and will instill that pace into the team. Max says, who do you think will play in midfield tomorrow? Hopefully Gomez and Davis, but I fear it'll be Gomez and Schneiderlin. Whammy says, Moyes would get us out of the shit, that's what we want. I would like Rafa, but can't see that happening mid-season. Exactly, and he's on a massive contract in China. Ziad says, do you do the graphics yourself? No, I don't. Joe does graphics, Joe does design, should I say. Actually, does my graphics for me, pops up in the team every now and then as well. He can be found on Twitter. He does all the graphics for the team, so he does an absolutely fantastic job. Max says, who do you think should start tomorrow, Keane or DCL? Both. Or at least two up front, whether it be Keane, DCL and Richarlison. Two up front, please. Mac and Cheese says, I'd go with both of them up front, Max, lads. Yeah, me too. Where he says, Martinez's first season was good off the back of Martin Moyes. It was because he had Moyes' defence and he instilled his attacking capabilities into it as well. So he says, where do you think you'll finish in the league? Top 10. That's all I'm saying. Mac and Cheese says, we're the only fan base that has respect for Moyes. If he comes in, we do terrible. Not many fans would respect him. He should stay far away. Very, very fair point. Very, very fair point. Marco Silva then went on to talking about the pressure that is currently on him, and he said, pressure is a privilege because we are a club where we want to be. I'll tell my players this. So again, he's twisting it really. He's twisting the fact that he's got a lot of pressure on him in terms of his performances, in terms of the team's performances, and he's saying, listen, you know, pressure is a privilege and it's something that we should take on board. Again, he's twisting this answer really, is that, you know, he could have come out and said, I've got pressure on me and I'm worried that I've got pressure on me and it doesn't worry me, but he's coming out and he's saying, you know, pressure is a privilege because it means we should be doing better than what we're doing, which is right and correct, but let's go and do better than what we're doing. Then you can't just come out and say, well, pressure's a privilege because we shouldn't really be 18th in the league, we should be challenging with the top 6. Well, why aren't we challenging with the top 6 then? What does that tell you? Go out, make the changes to, you know, be where that pressure needs, you know, wants us to be. Marco Silva then, when we believe it will be a turning point, we have to go and we have to really go at this match. It's a must-win game. So that's a really, really interesting quote from Marco Silva, coming out and saying it's a must-win game. It's obviously massive. It's him realising himself that this may be one of his last opportunities to save his job as Everton manager, and he needs to go out and he needs to take that opportunity. Listen, he knows himself that this is a must-win game, and he believes that this could be a turning point. And for me, I'm coming out and saying that as big a hint as that he's going to change the formation, and as big a hint as that he's going to change the starting 11 as any, because he's coming out and he's saying, well, this is going to be a turning point. And if he's going to play the same starting 11, he's going to play the same 3 in midfield, he's going to play the same forward line that isn't working. How can you come out and say this is a turning point? Because it's the same team and it's the same tactics, so you're going to expect the same results. For him to come out and say we believe this will be a turning point, for me, don't get me wrong, I might just be thinking too much into this, and this might be the case, but for me, that sort of says that he's taken a step back during the international break and he's gone, actually, this needs to happen, this needs to change, he needs to come in, he needs to come out, and that's why he's saying, I believe this could be a turning point. It's not going to be a turning point if you're playing the same side, if you're using the same tactics, and if you're playing the same formation, because there's no turning point. You're in the same fucking car, you're going the same way. The only way it's a turning point is if you get a new gearbox, a new engine, a new spray, maybe a little cover for your wheel, and you decide to turn. And for me, that is in form of a new formation, you know, different personnel in the team that actually work well, and different tactics as well. So that for me is the biggest sort of hint as to that, he's realised that something needs to change in terms of his setup of the match. But, you know, again, 100% spot on. He's coming out, he's saying it's a must-win game. It is a must-win game. It really, really is a must-win game. We spoke about it in the game preview yesterday. We spoke about how we've only got a handful of games now where we're playing sides that realistically we should be beating, and then we're starting to go into games against sides that are in the, you know, the top 4, the top 5, the top 6 sides that we're going to really, really struggle against. So games like West Ham, you know, it is a must-win game. Where are we? Jack says Rafa has a clause in his contract where if a team went in for him and he wanted to move, then he could without paying off all his contract. Fair enough, it depends whether Rafa would want the move. So yeah, says I think Everton might finish in the bottom half between 11th and 15th. It's a possibility, don't get me wrong. So yeah, also says I doubt Rafa would join Everton. He is a Liverpool fan. That's another thing to discuss. Alex says, why do you think so many players are protecting Marco Silva? Because I think they like him. I think he's a decent bloke. Very similar to the Roberto Martinez situation before. That got really, really bad towards the back end of the second season. And in the third season, players were continuing to come out and back Roberto Martinez as well. Jack says, go back and look at Richard Key's quotes. And Steve says all games are must-wins, so don't know why he's saying that. Mashiri's going to end up settling his share if we don't start booking ideas. And on the topic of Mashiri and on the topic of Marco Silva saying this is a must-win game, the final thing that I wanted to highlight in the press conference was Marco Silva come out and said something really, really interesting. He said, about the owners, I speak with the owner many, many times. 3 weeks ago I was with him, 2 weeks ago I was with him. So I assume this means either Farhad Moshiri or Bill Kenwright or both. Now again, he's come out there and he said this is a must-win game. You've got numerous journalists coming out and saying, you know, we believe that this could be, you know, one of the final opportunities for Marco Silva to go out there and prove himself, whether it be getting a win or whether it be changing and proving that he can adapt. Marco Silva then comes out in his press conference and says, yes, I've spoke to the owner many of times. I was with him 3 weeks ago, I was with him 2 weeks ago. So he was with him after the Sheffield United defeat, he was with him after the Bournemouth defeat, and I dare say he was with him near and around the Burnley defeat as well. So for me, that means they're having frequent meetings. Now, don't get me wrong, these frequent meetings mightn't be discussing his future. They mightn't be discussing the fact that he might be sacked. They might just be talking about, you know, how he's getting on or what he had for his tea or what he feels like, you know, for breakfast in the morning. But the fact he's coming out and saying, yes, I've met with the owners and I've met with the owners frequently and I've met with them many of times in such a short period of time, that means that the owners are taking note of what's going on. And Farhad Moshiri is taking note of what's going on the pitch. And again, it was one of the biggest questions that we wanted asking, I think, in this press conference was, well, have you spoke to the owners? What have the owners said? Have you been, you know, obviously he wasn't going to directly say, yeah, basically I've been told that if I don't win this game, I'm getting the sack. But we wanted to know that, is there being some push from the hierarchy of the football club as to say, this isn't good enough, and if this doesn't change, you are going to be leaving the club. And obviously he's come out and said he's met with the owners multiple times, didn't say what he's met for them for, didn't say why he's met for them, he's just said, I've met with them. So that's something that we can read a little bit more into, but at least we know that, you know, Farhad Moshiri, Bill Kenwright and the hierarchy of Everton are taking note of what's happening on the pitch, and obviously, you know, aren't really happy with it. Ziad says, Richard Keys talk nonsense. Remember when he said Everton will finish above Liverpool in Koeman's second season? Jeff says, hi Cam, must be really depressing to have to make these videos. It's depressing just thinking about Everton at the minute. I have absolutely zero faith left. I quite enjoy it, mate. I quite enjoy us coming along and talking about how disappointed we all are. Jack says, Ziad, that was a prediction. This is a stark difference between predictions and conversations. Ziad says, how much would it cost to sack Silva? How many years has he got left on his contract? I think he's got 3. I think he's on a 5-year contract, 3 or 4 years left on his contract. It would cost a fair bit to get him sacked. It would cost a fair bit, but if he's not doing his job properly, then he's not doing his job properly. Wormy says, pardon me by the way, Wormy says, Moyes is a proven Prem manager who can manage a struggling club, bringing team spirit and work ethic, and he can manage defence, which is a step up in our position. Yeah, I just don't think, I'm not a believer of going backwards, and I just don't think we should go back and appoint David Moyes. I'm not going to read that comment on Ziad. Jack says, agreed. Wormy says, we'll stop banging on about Moyes now, last shows. No, don't worry about it, mate. That's your opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. That's why we're here. This isn't just for me. It's not just a channel for me. It's a channel for all Evertonians to have our opinions and to discuss that. And Alex says, if Silva gets sacked, which person would sack him? Bill Kenwright or Moshiri? Probably be a mix of both, but I dare say Moshiri would have more in the say. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's last team. If you have enjoyed, please do hit that like button. It'd mean a massive amount to me. Big game for Everton tomorrow. Massive game for Marco Silva and a massive game for the club. 3 points or nothing for me. We massively need the win. Don't forget to join me for the instant match reaction straight after the game. I'll be shooting home and I'll be doing the reaction straight after it, whether it's a win, draw or a loss. So don't forget to join us for that one. Jeff says, no, Cam, he signed a 3-year deal, 1 year left. There you go. Not clued up on it. So he's got 1 year left on his contract. Amateur by me, that. But thanks, Jeff, for saving the day. So yeah, if you have enjoyed the scene, please do hit the like button. It means a massive amount to me. Once again, big thanks for all of the support on the recent streams. It's been absolutely unbelievable. If you're interested in seeing what my predicted starting 11 is for tomorrow and going into a little bit more detail about tomorrow's game, then don't forget to go and check out the game preview, which we live streamed yesterday. It is currently live on the channel, so don't forget to go over and check that one out as well. It's really interesting, really in-depth stream as well. Like I said, I'll be back for the instant match reaction tomorrow, so don't forget to join us for that one. Please do leave a like on today's stream. Thanks to everybody for getting involved in the live comments as per usual, and if you're watching as a YouTube video, leave your comments in the comment section down below and I'll be getting involved and reading those all night as well. Where are we? Jack says, think we paid off Martinez and Koeman, now sacking him won't be a problem financially. fair enough. Ziad says, Everton bigger than Wolves. Yes, we definitely are. And Jeff says, I expect a defeat. Maybe they'll surprise me. Hopefully they'll surprise you, and hopefully they'll surprise us all. Anyway, that's going to do for today. Massive thanks to everybody for watching and getting involved. Please do leave a like if you have enjoyed the stream. If you're new to the channel, then subscribe. Why not? It only takes a sec and it's free. Big thanks for watching. Don't forget to join me tomorrow for the instant match reaction. Hopefully it's a positive one. And yeah, Marco Silva's come out and said it's a must-win game, so let's go out there and let's wake up and let's look at the team sheet at half 11 and let's see that it's a must-win team sheet as well, and it's a team that we know can go out and confidently get the 3 points. So yeah, massive game for Marco Silva, massive game for Everton. Big thanks for watching. Please leave a like on the stream if you have enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.